Hello there, salam and peace. This is another month with Live Before the Lounge, except that this time round it has happened after the lounge. So it's like live after the Arabic lounge. So what is this and who am I? So my name is Matsadiso, and one of the things that I do is that I'm a community interpreter. What does a community interpreter do? So a community interpreter, or rather an interpreter, shows up for someone who doesn't speak the language of that country and translates vocally what is being said into their own native tongue, rather than translating what has been written or what is documented. So I'm an English Arabic interpreter, level 2. And I'm doing this monthly interactive workshop for Black female professionals or women of African heritage who could benefit from my experiences as an interpreter. And what's the topic for today? So today it is about child rights, child protection, children with special educational needs. Now I have to say that I have only done one assignment pertaining to the educational healthcare plan, and then I was offered 2 more, but I turned them down. I have to say that the latter one, I turned that one down because I had come to the realization as a Black female interpreter that I actually was experiencing sublingual microaggressions, if not subtle racism. And the second one I turned down because there are some interpreting agencies that just don't realize how strenuous it can be for a native Arabic speaker to speak in modern standard Arabic. Now, if you're not aware, there are different accents to Arabic, but there are also different dialects, just like you have different accents and dialects in English. But it's not just that. There is a modern standard Arabic, which is abbreviated as MSA, and it's used in formal situations, such as in conferences or when you turn on the news on the TV. That's what you would hear if you're giving a presentation, etc. In academics as well. But when they're speaking in a day-to-day life, they speak a very colloquial form of Arabic. There's also Quranic Arabic, which is much more older than the modern standard Arabic. And the modern standard Arabic, or MSA, can have an intersectionality of foreign words entering. You can have also some slang words, but it's more of a formal form. And if you're not used to speaking on a day-to-day basis, then what happens is that during the session, an interpreting session, it can be really frustrating for the native Arabic speaker when they're heightened in their emotions or explaining very sensitive issues. And then the interpreter or the service user, i.e. the Arabic speaker, has to ask them to repeat, or what do you mean, or say it again. And so the best thing for a smooth sailing interpreting session where there are limited numbers of communication barriers, I would I'm like 99% for the colloquial Arabic matching between the interpreter and the service user. Now, I say 99% because sometimes you have really urgent situations, like many service users or the native Arabic speakers might have to wait a very long time in order to find someone to help them understand. And so I can understand that, and I would be willing to cater to that need, but them knowing that, okay, if we're not speaking the same colloquial Arabic, then we're going to have to like heads up, we might need to ask each other, could you explain that, or I don't understand, etc. Okay, so Child rights, child protection, and children with special educational needs. So we're going to have a look at like 3 categories. It says 18 words, but I've actually got about 32. So I've divided them into more or less people around the children. So the name titles of people that you can expect to have around the children, as well as temperaments and emotions that may be discussed or brought up, as well as phrases related to plans and type of plans. So here we go. Okay, so I'm going to go and start with the name titles of people around the children. So what I'd like you to do is take advantage to the fact that I can't even hear what you're saying or even see your facial expressions. So feel free to vocalize what I'm saying, and yeah, let those muscles stretch and those tongues whip side to side or whichever direction. So here we go. For a social worker, we've got إخصائي اجتماعي, or depending on the accent, the Jim, which is this letter here, that's kind of like a crescent shape or a back to front C shape with a dot underneath. They would say اجتماعي. So إخصائي اجتماعي. You might find that you're smiling in an unnatural way, but that's how you get the sound vocalized. Next. So a special educational needs coordinator. So a coordinator is منسق. So منسق الاحتياجات الخاصة. منسق الاحتياجات الخاصة. الاحتياجات الخاصة. The assistant SENDCO. Assistant is مساعد. مساعد in Arabic. So مساعد منسق الاحتياجات الخاصة. مساعد منسق الاحتياجات الخاصة. It sounds like a mouthful, I know. Feel free to, when this recording is out, to pause and replay and repeat and repeat. What about the headmaster, school principal? So do note that many a time, in order to make the feminine form of the noun, you would add a h sound at the end. So here is the masculine form for headmaster. مدير مدير المدرسة. مدير المدرسة. For female, we'll add, like I said, the h at the end. The h sound, but it's called ta marbuta, or a closed ta. If you're not sure what a closed ta is and what an open ta is, I actually have my mini Afrabics bite-size series on sale this Ramadan. Actually, I think one module is about £20 with interactive videos, quizzes, downloads, interaction with me, feedback, and the lot, as well as a private group. So go on and get it. So مديرة is female for manager. مديرة المدرسة is a female headmaster or headmistress. One more. So head of safeguarding. So department is called قسم. Depending on the accent, they would drop the qaf and have an epiglottal sound, ism. So the head of safeguarding, the safeguarding department, is called رئيس قسم الحماية. الحماية is protection. El means the. رئيس قسم الحماية. Now, if you wanted to make that feminine, you would add the marbuta, having the h sound. رئيسة. Okay. Let's move on to temperaments. I'm going to skip to 16 here. Right, so some of the temperaments or emotions that might be brought up, for example, anxiety or worry, whether it's you or the child or even any members of staff or people working with your children. قلق. قلق. Now, this might be a different or uncomfortable sound to produce if your first language is English and you're not used to raising the back of your tongue to the roof of your mouth at the back. So, قلق. Now, depending on the accent, you would have the qaf dropped and the epiglottal sound replaced. And it would sound like this. ألا. 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 All right, moving on to this one. Stressed or pressurized. مضغوط. مضغوط. Now, this dod is another phoneme that's present in the Latin phonemic chart. The phonemic chart, if you're not familiar with it, it's just like we know the names of the ABCs, but then we have the world of phonology, and when we're teaching non-native English speakers English pronunciation, one thing that we might do is introduce them to the phonemic chart. And it's just a table that encapsulates 44 sounds, in fact, that we can tend to produce in British English. And the Americans have their own. The closest sound that we have is the D sound for delightful. So the only difference is that instead of stretching our mouth a little, the delightful, we would round in the shape of our mouth. So say the word delightful, and then say it again, but don't produce the sound. Just position your mouth on the D, and then round in the shape of your mouth, and then say it again, do. And that's closest that you can get to producing this dod using a letter sound that you're already familiar with in your day-to-day English. So, مضغوط, stressed or pressurized. Nervousness, توتر or توتر. Okay, so moving on to more temperaments. هادي. So the child is quiet or calm. هادي. It might be a cause of concern if it's not something normal or it's a sudden change, or perhaps just a characteristic that they've always noticed and they want to reassure that it's always been like that. Or perhaps the parent at home has noticed this difference versus before. Okay, so what about if the child perhaps might be violent? And that could be various reasons. It could be a meltdown. It could be due to a lack of ability to speak. So speech delay. So يوجه عنف إلى. يوجه عنف إلى. Depending on the accent, it would be the jim will be pronounced with the g, and it'd be يوجه عنف إلى. Right, the next one we've got ongoing. Ongoing. If something is continuous, it's non-stopping, you might want to use this phrase whether the child has been continuously quiet or the violence has been, or the outburst has been ongoing, or development has been ongoing. The happiness, the child is happy, is ongoing. So this is a useful phrase. بطريقة مستمر. بطريقة مستمر. And let's go to right, so you might put a plan, and the plan, you might have a disagreement. You might have an اتفاق. So اتفاق is agreement, or اتفاق with an epiglottal N crossing out the qaf. Or you might have a disagreement. اختلاف. اختلاف. You might find the plan is مناسب, it's relevant, or perhaps when referring to a timeline. Let's see. Yeah, here we are. Which is جدول زمني. If the accent is with a g, جدول زمني. If with a jim, j, it will be جدول زمني. زمني comes from the word zaman, meaning time, and جدول is a table or a schedule. Together, it means timeline. What else have we got? So we could say that something isn't working. Whatever plan has been put in place, or whatever routine, whether it's at school, at home, it's not working, it's not benefiting. So here's some useful phrases. لا means no, it's a negative. So لا ينفع. لا ينفع. The phoneme at the end, it's a squeezing of the epiglottal sound. So or squeezing of the throat, sorry. لا ينفع. Or it's not successful. لا ينجح. Depending on the accent, the G might be pronounced with a G. لا ينجح. Or it's not appropriate. لا مناسب. لا مناسب. What else have we got? Perhaps something that once was is no longer. Here's a useful phrase. لم يعد. Whether it's the plan that's no longer مناسب, or it's the routine that's no longer مناسب, or whatever the case may be. Oh, I'm not sure if I showed you this. So yeah, the word for plan is خطة. خطة. And what does the plan include? We can say الخطة تشتمل, because the خطة is feminine. We would say تشتمل instead of يشتمل. Here it's masculine. Or you can say يتضمن. يتضمن. It includes if masculine, or تتضمن if feminine. If you'd like to know how to use these phrases, then please book a one-to-one Arabic coaching call. All right, we looked at name titles of people who could possibly be working around the child. How about other plans? So here we've got خطة حماية الطفل. So خطة, we know that it is Arabic for plan. حماية. حماية means protection. الطفل, here we've got the alif and lam, or L means the. So خطة حماية الطفل, child protection plan. What else have we got? I'm sure I've got some other names of plans here. So there might be a time frame involved. So you want to achieve certain things with the child, whether it may or may not benefit the child to put a time frame versus working around the child's needs and their receptibility. That's something that could be discussed, but I'm not a professional on that. I'm just sharing some useful phrases. But here is one. So time frame, إطار زمني, إطار زمني. And what else we got? I'm sure there's some other words related to plans. Okay, here we go. So educational healthcare plan. This is in the UK. I'm not sure about any other English-speaking countries like Canada or the US or Australia. But here we've got the EHCP. So we've said plan in Arabic before is خطة. So we've got the kh, and that's the epiglottal sound. Kh. Imagine that you're expelling something from your throat, or you're clearing it in the morning. If you're that type of person, I hate that sound when I hear it done. But for this, I don't mind. So خطة, خطة الرعاية. الرعاية is to take care of or look after. الصحية. الصحية means health or related to health. خطة الرعاية الصحية التعليمية. So تعليم is education. Educational is تعليمية. So خطة الرعاية الصحية التعليمية. Another difficult phoneme that might be that you might have is this letter صاد. Now, if you notice the shape of my lips, it rounded, and a phoneme that you might be able to relate to in English is the s sound, like superb. So if you can say the word superb and say it again, but this time hold the position of your mouth as you're about to say the s in superb, and then rounding it. So so, and then you've got it. الصحية. خطة الرعاية الصحية التعليمية. Educational Healthcare Plan, also abbreviated as EHCP. Now, there might be an assessment that was done prior to getting an educational healthcare plan. So assessment is تقييم or تقييم. Right. So you might be dealing with a child that's got a disability. So disability, I've got it down here as إعاقة. So there's that squeezing of the throat sound again. إعاقة. إعاقة. That's disability. So a child with a disability may also have special educational needs. And need is, or needs is احتياجات. احتياجات is needs. الاحتياجات التعليمية الخاصة. الخاصة means individual or private or privately tailored. So الاحتياجات التعليمية الخاصة. We said before that التعليمية comes from the word تعليم or education, and التعليمية means educational. So how to say special educational needs and disability. الاحتياجات التعليمية الخاصة والإعاقة. That's quite a mouthful. I do know it's quite a mouthful. So I think we have come to the end of this. So there are 29 phrases. So I don't know why I thought of 32, but 29 phrases, and we've come to the end of Live Before the Lounge, or in this case, it was Live After the Arabic Lounge. And what happens next is that you can download the PDF of all the phrases that were included today. And what usually happens is that you would look at it before attending the Arabic Lounge and then engage in an interactive with Black female professionals or women of African heritage in a safe space for beginners or basic users. So you don't have to know the Arabic, and get a memorable experience, and equip yourself and be prepared for your next session with an interpreter to make sure that the message is including key words and phrases that are super duper important for the service user to be aware of and to receive. So that's it. Ma salama.